Today we are deleting the satellites around the Earth. We see them at night, drifting like silent stars. They watch us 24/7, providing the invisible threads that stitch our modern world together. They've given us something incredible, a global perspective that allowed us to see our planet as one single, fragile organism. But have you ever imagined what would happen if these satellites suddenly vanished? In this video, we are covering how the satellites control the money in your bank, the food on your plate, the safety of the planes in our skies, the accuracy of the weather we predict, and the very time on your wrist. We will see why your phone becomes a useless piece of glass and how humanity would be forced to return to the stars, not to travel to them, but to use them just to find our way home. This is World Erased. You think your phone is smart? Without the sky, it's just a glowing paperweight. Here is the secret reason why. The moment the satellites vanish, your phone doesn't just lose its map, it loses its heartbeat. Most people think phones only need satellites for GPS. That is a total myth. Every single cell tower on Earth, especially those high-speed 5G towers, has a GPS antenna on its roof. They aren't looking for directions, they are listening for a universal heartbeat. Satellites carry atomic clocks that are accurate to a billionth of a second. Cell towers use this universal time to stay perfectly synchronized so they can hand off your data as you move from one area to another. Without that satellite pulse, the internal clocks in those towers begin to drift. Within just a few hours, the towers fall out of sync. Your phone might show full bars, but it won't be able to make a call or send a text because the timing of the data packets is broken. The entire cellular network literally unties itself. Your $1,000 smartphone is now a high-tech brick. No calls, no apps, no internet. We are back to landlines, if you can even find one. While you're staring at your dead phone, there are over 10,000 planes in the sky. If the satellites disappear, every single one of them just went blind at 30,000 feet. In the air, the invisible highway is deleted instantly. Modern planes don't just see with their eyes, they use ADS-B satellites to broadcast their position and see everyone else. Without satellites, navigation in the air goes totally blind. Air traffic control loses the ability to track planes precisely over the oceans or remote areas. To avoid mid-air collisions, the entire global airspace would be grounded immediately. But what about the planes already over the Atlantic? Pilots would be forced into a terrifying guessing game. They would have to revert to inertial navigation, which is basically a very expensive way of guessing your position based on your last known speed and wind direction. To get these passengers home, pilots would be forced to return to the stars. They would have to dig out old-school paper maps and magnetic compasses, looking out the cockpit window to find landmarks, like the ancient explorers did. If you're stuck in a cloud bank with no GPS, you are flying on a wing and a prayer. We go from the precision of the 21st century to the survival mode of the 1900s in 60 seconds. If you think being lost in the clouds is scary, wait until you try to buy a bottle of water, because the very concept of money is about to glitch out. Your bank account isn't just a list of numbers, it's a series of timestamps. And those timestamps just disappeared. Imagine walking into a store to buy emergency supplies, but your credit card is declined. You go to the ATM, but it's dead. This is because of ghost money. Every time you swipe a card or a stock is traded, the bank uses a satellite signal to verify the exact nanosecond it happened. This prevents people from spending the same dollar twice in two different places before the system can catch up. Without that satellite timestamp, the global banking system cannot verify the sequence of transactions. To prevent a total collapse where billions of dollars simply vanish or are stolen through time exploits, the world's stock markets and digital banking networks would have to shut down. Your wealth isn't gone, but it is frozen. You are living in a digital vault that no one has the key to. But a frozen bank account is nothing compared to the silent monster growing over the horizon. Imagine a Category 5 hurricane is heading for your house, and the only way to know is to look out the window when it's already too late. This is the reality of being weather blind. We take for granted that we know a storm is coming 5 days in advance. We know this because geostationary satellites watch the clouds 24/7. Without them, we have zero top-down view of the planet. To fix this, humanity would have to establish a 24/7 aerial patrol. To replace just one single satellite, we would have to keep hundreds of planes in the air at all times. These planes would have to circle the oceans, dropping sensors into the waves every few miles to check the pressure and wind speed. Even with this massive effort, our weather forecast would only be accurate for about 12 to 24 hours. Natural disasters would become surprises again. We wouldn't know the rain was coming until the first drop hit the ground. The death tolls from floods and hurricanes would skyrocket back to 19th century levels, all because our eyes in the sky were closed. When the eyes in the sky go dark, every country starts suspecting their neighbor is preparing for war. Satellites are actually the world's greatest peacekeepers. They allow superpowers to monitor each other's nuclear silos, troop movements, and naval fleets. This transparency prevents accidental wars. When the satellites vanish, the world becomes a black box. To see again, militaries would be forced to bring back high-altitude spy planes traveling 24/7 over enemy territory. But there's a catch. Space is neutral territory, but the sky is not. If a country flies a plane over another country's borders to see what they are doing, it is an act of aggression. The sky would be filled with thousands of surveillance drones and planes, all risking being shot down every single minute. The risk of World War III increases by 1,000% because everyone is guessing and no one is watching. Paranoia becomes the new global currency. So with the world on the brink of collapse and the sky empty, we can't go back to space yet, so we have to build a fake sky just to stay connected. So how does humanity rebuild? If we can't use space, we have to use the stratosphere. We would see a frantic multi-trillion-dollar race to build pseudo-satellites. These are massive solar-powered balloons or giant gliders that hover at 60,000 feet for months at a time. They would act as local towers for GPS and 5G, but they are incredibly fragile. A major storm or a technical glitch could knock out an entire city's connection. At the same time, we would be laying millions of miles of new undersea fiber optic cables to connect continents that previously relied on satellite beams. Our world would feel smaller, slower, and much more disconnected. We would be tethered to the ground again, no longer the masters of the orbital realm. In conclusion, deleting the satellites doesn't just break our phones, it breaks our certainty. It takes away the invisible hand that keeps our money safe, our planes in the air, and our families informed. We would survive, but we would be a different species. We would be a people who are forced to return to the stars, clutching maps and compasses just to find our way home. We would have to look at the ground to see where we're going, instead of looking at the sky to see where we've been. Next time you look up and see a tiny, moving light in the night sky, remember, that's not just a machine. It's the heartbeat of the 21st century. And without it, the world as you know it is already erased. What would you miss most? Knowing the weather or having a bank account that actually works? Let us know in the comments. Make sure to subscribe to see what we erase next. This was World Erased.